Hello everyone, I've been solving Leetcode since June 2024. It's been 2 years. I'll be sharing my experience with you guys so that you can avoid some of the mistakes that I did. You can reach your goal faster, saving some of your time. So far, I have solved 1003 questions. Currently, my rating stands at 1715, which is pretty less relatively if you compare it to the number of questions that I've solved. But we will come to that. Why is it so low? So let's start with what are the things that I would do differently if I had to start over. There are a lot of things, right, that I would correct myself on. So, first thing, when I started, I spent first 100 questions I did using Java, and then I switched to C++ programming language because I found the syntax a bit too lengthy for Java. So, what I would advise is that you pick one language and you stick to that language. I'm not saying you should pick CPP. You can pick any language that suits you. Some people find Java very easy. Some people find Python also, right? You can pick whichever language that you like, but just stick to that language. Don't switch in the midway because you will have to revise all previous questions again, not just the concepts, but also the syntax, right? So that becomes a lot difficult. Second thing is people find it difficult to build consistency or habit, so-called discipline and all that thing. So I have two solutions that I implemented for myself. First is I used LinkedIn. I You might have seen that many people upload every day on LinkedIn whatever they solve on Leetcode or any other coding platform, and they call it like what I did was 100 days coding challenge where I used to upload every day whichever question that I solve on Leetcode, right? And I also used to like other people's posts who do this kind of thing, so they also will like your post back, right? So basically that builds a pressure in you that okay, these people are watching me, so that is why I have to post every day, right? So that will help you be consistent on initial days, right? When your mind is resisting, when you're new to Leetcode, this will give a great kickstart to you. But if you don't want to do that, that is also fine. There is another way. Another way is to find some of your friends who will do Leetcode with you, right? So if you are not in the zone for that particular day, maybe your friends can push you into one and you can build habit very easily, right? It is not that difficult. That is the second thing. Third thing is that once you solve the problem, you should also look into the optimal solution for that problem, right? Consider that you came up to the solution all by yourself. That does not necessarily mean that it is the best solution, right? Even if it is passing all test cases, even if it is showing that 100% beats thing, still you should look for the optimal solution. Maybe it has, maybe the optimal solution might have used some less space or might have done some using some different algorithm, right? You will learn a lot of things by seeing the optimal solution, right? So just don't let go of the question once you solve it. Third thing is that once you get a little bit hands on with easy questions, you can solve a little bit of average medium questions, then I would highly recommend that you should always go through the daily questions, right? The problem of the day. There is a question that comes on Leetcode for each day, right? These questions help you to revise popular things, right? They are pretty good questions picked up by the Leetcode. So you should try solving these questions every day. The next thing is the contest. Once you start solving some of the medium questions, you can appear for contests very easily, right? You you will definitely start slow, like you might only be able to solve one questions, then you will gradually move towards two questions. But the point is that even if you can't solve second, third, or even fourth question, you should always look up for the solutions for those questions after the contest is finished, right? You should sit for 1.5 hours. There is a contest every week, right? So you should sit 1.5 hours staring at the questions. Even if you can solve that, it is completely fine, but you should sit there for 1.5 hours. And then once the contest is over, you can look up for the solutions for the questions that you could not solve, right? That is the only way you will be able to solve difficult questions, right? If you think that okay, I will appear for the contest every week for a few months and I will magically get better, that won't happen, right? You will end up solving only two questions in every contest, right? If you do not know how to solve the question 3 and 4, right, the patterns almost always repeats, right? if you do this exercise of observing the contest, it is called observing. If you do that for like a few months, you will find that all the patterns, everything is just being repeated, right? So, right. So that is one thing that you can consider. The next thing is whether you should make notes or not. Notes of the topics. So I would recommend that if you have a lot of time, a very, very lot of time, like you are in the first year or something like that, you can make notes. But if you have less time, you're in second, third, or anything later than that, you should not make notes while you're first solving the question, right? Because you will not understand what to make the note of. Like while you're exploring, once you have solved like 100, 200 question, you will find that, okay, you can relate the question to a particular category. Okay, this question belongs to, let's say, greedy. This question belongs to sliding window, right? If you do not know these terms, you will end up making different category for each kind of questions. You will try to map each question to your own category, right? So that won't work. Once you're aware of the famous categories, once you're aware of the algorithms, you can then start to categorize the question and start making very, very short notes. Like if it is completely new concept, like modulo inverse, or let's say line sweep algorithm, right? So these are the things that you need notes of, right? You can easily forget these things, but you don't have to make notes of very basic things like how to push back in an array, right? You will eventually remember that once you solve a lot of questions. You will remember the syntax, you will remember everything like that. So don't be too specific or niche in making your notes. Just do it for very difficult things, or the things that you think that you will forget very easily, right? That might be different for you and me. The next thing that I want to touch is set of questions. Is it really necessary to solve 1000 questions? I would say no, it is not necessary at all, right? There are people who have solved much less questions than me and are at much better place than me, right? But and there are also a lot of sheets available in the market, right? A curated sheets of 400 questions or 200 questions. You can pick them up and solve them. I used to solve a lot of questions because they kind of give you a false sense of superiority, uh, which I which I loved very much. That is why I used to solve this much questions, and I would continue solving a lot of questions, right? There are just 4,000 questions on Leetcode, right? It's not that much. You can try solving all of them actually. So I don't recommend you that you choose a specific set of questions. Just if you have very small time, like very limited time, you have placements coming in like a very short period, you can pick up a sheet and do that. Otherwise, I would recommend you to literally like take some time and solve all 4,000 questions. It is not much. Next is, does DSA actually help? Like, does it only help in cracking the interviews? Does it help after that? So currently I'm doing an internship, and from the experience of that, I can say it does help, right? It helps you to easily find the bugs. It helps you to easily find the edge cases, find where the code will fail, right? It builds your mind that way that you will eventually find problems in the architecture, in every design, right? That is a very good habit that DSA enables us, right? So these are the things that I wanted to share with you guys. I don't think I missed on anything else. Yeah, that's it. Thank you.